Today in crypto, Bitcoin continues to hold strong in spite of just waves of all kinds of market FUD that have been being thrown at Bitcoin over the last few weeks. Miner outflow is now reaching lows, meaning that Bitcoin could be on the verge of a major price movement. We do face a bit of headwind, though, heading into this week as U.S. stimulus talks are in the 11th hour, so we could get a bit of drama depending on how that unfolds. And the IMF has made a very bold and potentially quite worrying call for basically a great reset of the global economy and to have a new watershed agreement on the future of monetary policy. So that's pretty big. My name is Lark, and this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild land of crypto. So let's talk about the price of Bitcoin first. The price right now is around $11,500. And what is crazy to me is that for the last week, Bitcoin has not moved in either direction by more than like 2%, at least in terms of the daily closes, which means that we are once again in a period of sideways extreme non-volatility, which obviously means that volatility is coming, guys. It's coming soon. Potentially quite soon if this triangle here proves to have any kind of relevance. Now, in this case, it would be acting as a continuation pattern, seeing a bullish breakout from this triangle. This may, however, be nullified by this week's U.S. stimulus package news if it goes south. More on that in a minute, but we can also see that Bitcoin has been just kind of ranging inside of this ascending channel now for about 6 weeks. A breakout from this channel will bring us back to challenge $12,000 and, of course, $12,500 on the breakout. The latter of which is obviously, I think, the much more important area of resistance for us to break right now, because breaking $12,500, that would represent a new high for 2020. So let's see if we can make that happen this year. But I want to zoom out a little bit here too, just to kind of give you that bigger perspective and the larger time frame. So let's look at the weekly here. We're still looking very strong at this higher time frame. Ever since we had that just strong bounce off of the line of resistance, which has now flipped into support, it was just basically like a catapult for Bitcoin. And we are likely to continue pushing higher from this move. It's technically quite bullish to see that retest and that bounce off of it. Bitcoin also is continuing its record run of days above $10,000. We're now up to 84 days above 10,000, which is incredibly impressive with all of the FUD that's been happening recently. BitMEX indicted and KuCoin, it was like the top 5 biggest ever crypto hack that happened in the last month. Now OKX seems to have hit some big trouble as well regarding their keys, with the fate of around 200,000 Bitcoin currently on the line, locked up in their exchange. So we'll see how that plays out, keep you updated on it, but none of this has broken the price run for Bitcoin, nor has any of the macro stuff going on done it as well. So we got increasing COVID cases and the stimulus talks and the election, all that stuff. It's going to take something, I think, at this point, pretty damn dramatic for Bitcoin to actually lose support and go under $10,000 for any extended period of time. And on the flip side, it really feels like it's a powder keg right now, just ready to explode at any time. So one thing we can factor into here that's really adding to that explode anytime thesis is that Bitcoin miners are sending less Bitcoin to exchanges. In fact, currently it's at its lowest point since March 2017. And what happened in 2017? Moon. Which is, of course, this is astonishing. That means two things, obviously. One, that miners, the Bitcoin they do have, they're holding on to their stock because they think that a big rally is coming for Bitcoin. And the second thing, and perhaps more impactful, miners are starting to run short on ammo. Miner reserves have been dropping steadily over recent months, likely showing, of course, that there's been a lot of high-ticket OTC sales to the likes of Grayscale. So this is obviously very, very bullish, and I think it's a strong indicator of the effect that the Bitcoin halving is having on the market. It's playing out right now before our eyes. Miners have less to sell, demand's increasing, price is going to go up. By the way, guys, Bybit is running an amazing promotion right now, so you can get up to a $390 Bitcoin trading bonus until the end of the month. So in addition to the usual sign-up bonus of $90, you can actually get an additional $300 bonus on top of that. Of course, it depends on how much you actually deposit. So if you deposit 0.1 Bitcoin, you'll get a $60 bonus. If you deposit 0.2 Bitcoin, you'll get a $120 bonus. And if you deposit half a Bitcoin, you'll get a $300 trading bonus. Now, this bonus is available to both new and existing users. To claim your bonus, it's super easy. Obviously, you'll need to have a Bybit account, so sign up using the link down below if you don't have an account yet. But if you do already have an account, then you can actually just use the Get 300 bonus code in the Rewards Hub page, and you can get that bonus, of course, after making the deposits. Okay, now before we get into the serious stories for today, I've got some fun, quick crypto updates for you. So a collection of super rare Batman NFTs has just sold for $200,000. Now the works were actually created by a DC comic artist named Jose Delbo. The demand for crypto art, it's real, guys. I mean, that proves it without a doubt. And while the majority of crypto art out there is going to be worth absolutely nothing, famous artists making sketches and stuff like this will have value to collectors. And while a lot of people are kind of still stuck in that, bro, just copy and paste it, man, aha, now I own your NFT kind of phase of understanding NFT technology, you can't argue with the fact of the money being splashed around right now. Early pioneers, they're gobbling up rare pieces by highly talented artists, and those could explode in value in the coming years. Not all will, but some will. Next up, I have some exciting Polka Dot news for you. So Injective Protocol, the new Binance IEO, is teaming up with a crypto project called Moonbeam, which is an under-the-radar, no more Polka Dot-based token sale. We've actually been watching this one for a few weeks in the Wealth Mastery newsletter. Anyway, Injective and Moonbeam are going to be bringing decentralized cross-chain derivatives trading to Polka Dot. This is awesome. So this means that the Injective decentralized exchange will run on both Ethereum and on Polka Dot. So we're going to see just a whole range of different assets available across both those blockchains via their decentralized exchange. Okay, now up for the big stories of the day. So the first one, U.S. lawmakers are now in the 11th hour with about 48 hours left to pass a stimulus deal in order to actually be able to get it signed before the election happens, which, you know, to my mind, makes it pretty unlikely that it's actually going to pass. So crazier things have happened and it still could pass, but it doesn't seem particularly promising with so little time left. So what does this mean for the markets? Well, if no deal passes, then expect a slight dip in equity markets, with Bitcoin, of course, following close behind, because that's what 2020 has been all about. Now, I don't think that any drop that'll come is going to be like super brutal, man. We've seen this so many rounds of failed negotiations. The market's kind of getting a bit numb to it. I don't think it's going to be particularly volatile if it does fail again. But on the flip side, if we actually see a deal be agreed on, then equity markets, I think, would see a good rally, which would be pretty awesome because we haven't seen anything agreed on for like half a year now. And of course, that would bring Bitcoin along with it and could be the next big breakout moment for Bitcoin. Now, this is probably the biggest political event to be watching before the U.S. election in 2 weeks, so that's obviously another wild card event coming for us, but anyway. The final story for today, the International Monetary Fund is saying that a Bretton Woods-like moment is needed to save the global economy. It's a pretty bold call there, guys. By the way, in case you don't know what the Bretton Woods Agreement is, well, it happened back in the 1940s, 1944, it was created basically a system where gold was the basis for the US dollar, and of course other currencies are then pegged to the US dollar's value, which is supposed to be underwritten by gold. Obviously, we haven't been on that system for a while now, but it's had pretty strong effects on our understanding of monetary policy. And so the IMF's calling for basically world governments to work together to save the global economy, that serious action is needed, and that serious new policy is needed. The IMF director said this can be done by using the right economic policies, investing in people, and focusing on climate change. I mean, on the one hand, that's pretty good sounding stuff, right? That sounds good. The current economic policies that we're seeing, they're kind of whacked, right, for a lot of reasons. We do need much stronger investment in people, especially around the provision of services, to get internet access to everyone, stuff like that, right? And of course, we need a lot more focus on the environment moving forward from an economic perspective, right? Not just like it's just something out there and we can just use it forever anyway. This is the IMF we are talking about, though, so that has to all be taken with a grain of salt. The IMF is an organization that has a very checkered past of doing some very uncool things like, indebting developing countries with predatory loans that gutted out their social security and infrastructure and all that stuff. Now, this also coincides with the IMF having a conference this week on digital currencies. You think that's a coincidence? There are no coincidences, my friends. And this comes at the same time that many major economies are rushing to get out a digital currency. While we do have early examples of digital currencies like the sand dollar in the Bahamas, the Bahamas isn't exactly the world's biggest economy, is it? So the real focus is on digital currencies coming soon to the EU, Japan, Russia, and China, all of which are in various stages of testing and deployment. These will be incredibly impactful when they roll out. The United States, while also interested in making the digital dollar and, of course, modernizing the dollar, they're way behind right now in this financial race. So these other countries are all going to beat the US to the finish line. Now, a new Bretton Woods type agreement could also be the end for dollar dominance internationally. Think about this. 4 of the world's biggest economies are on the brink of launching central bank digital currencies right now. US way behind. This is at a time when the US is struggling with record debt, soon to be record inflation. It's, I think, a massive challenge to the dollar's dominance moving forward and, of course, to U.S. power internationally. Now, these digital currencies, they're going to be very useful and not useful at the same time. So you're going to be able to, for example, easily circumvent the U.S.-dominated financial system like SWIFT, right? So that's going to be good for these countries in that regard. These new currencies, they're also going to be a revolution in terms of functionality. So, for example, taxes can be automatically deducted from every payment that you make and sent off with every purchase. That's great, right? Yeah. People in developing regions who are currently excluded from the international financial system, they're also going to have a dramatically increased access to global markets and global finance. But it also opens the door for a kind of Chinese-style social credit-like dystopian nightmare system where you're given a score depending on whether you're a good little citizen or not. So good citizens, you're going to get benefits, things like premium housing, lower insurance rates, all that kind of stuff. Bad citizens will be prohibited from flying, or maybe you'll just simply have your money frozen and you'll be totally cut out of the financial system. And cash? Yeah. Cash is going to come to an end sooner than you may think. Remember, cash is dirty, and cash carries the coronavirus. Can't have cash around anymore, can you? Nope, got to get rid of that. And is it really such a big leap from here to see a one world currency? Not that big. But let's not go too deep down that rabbit hole here. Back to point 1 from the IMF director. The right economic policies. We're not going to go back to a gold standard. It's not happening. It's not happening. And the IMF isn't magically going to announce we should move to a Bitcoin standard either. So that's not happening. No, that's not what the IMF's going to do. The right policies, according to the IMF, it's going to be an endless loop of central bank insanity. Printing, negative interest rates, more debt, all that stuff, just at a grander scale. It's a power consolidation move by the world's biggest banks. And when it comes down to it, dare I say, this will indeed be bullish for Bitcoin. Because of course it's going to be, guys. Of course it's going to be. I mean, look, well, technologically, central bank digital currencies, they're quite interesting. They're still fiat, highly manipulated, even worse probably when they're digital. And we're going to continue to see them basically have that downward spiral through the toilet into worthlessness before they're sucked down the drain of history. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is going to continue to rise. So, something to keep in mind. Stack, Sats, and Chill, guys. That's the message of every video, basically. Anyway, your question for today. Would you pay $200,000 for a collection of tokenized, Batman NFTs? Or is this like peak insanity of the NFT thing and it's all going to go downhill from here? Let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Long live the blockchain and peace out till next time.